If you're a mid-level to C-suite leader who wants to own your growth and figure out your next small, brave move to achieve your leadership goals, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, a weekly deep dive on how to be braver in leadership and in life for exceptional results. I'm your host, Nicole Bianchi, best-selling author, certified master executive coach, NSA certified speaking professional, chief bravery officer, and tough talk expert. If you're ready to become a better, braver, and more authentic leader, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Small Brave Moves podcast. Today I'm joined by Nash Mahupete, President and CEO of QLI, a nationally renowned organization transforming lives through rehabilitation and care for individuals recovering from brain and spinal cord injuries. Nash's journey is just incredible. He started 25 years ago as a CNA and worked his way to the top by leading with purpose, heart, and bravery. He's also the author of Dreamcatcher, A Passion for People Development, and co-founder of 492 Solutions and Black Swan Homes, two ventures dedicated to uplifting people and communities. In our conversation, Nash shares what it really means to see people, lead with courage, and stay grounded in joy, even when the road ahead requires brave change. And what I love most about Nash is how he leads with purpose. His journey from CNA to CEO is not just a story of professional advancement. It's a story about staying grounded in joy, service, and the belief that people are the heartbeat of every great mission. I mean, wow. You're going to walk away from this conversation inspired, reflective, and ready to make your next small brave move. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, Nash Mahupete, who is just an incredible leader that I have really enjoyed following his journey from CNA to CEO at QLI. So Nash, welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast. I'm really excited to have you here.
Well, Nicole, it's a pleasure and honor to hang out with you today. So let's see what we got.
Let's do this. All right. So why don't you start off, talk to us about on your leadership journey, a small brave move that comes to mind that would be impactful for our listeners, a small brave move you've had to make along the way on your leadership journey.
Well, to others, this might be small, but to me, it was definitely big. I came from Zimbabwe in the year 2000, and I came here for school, and the goal was to get an education in environmental sciences, and then end up in Southern Africa, back home after I graduated. And so when you are coming here to the diaspora, and you're focusing on certain things to say, I need to make a living, I need to get myself through school, there's certain things that you look at. And one of the things was income, and so I had to make a decision on, was the money more important than working in a place that I found joy and I felt seen? But yeah, so you could definitely be a hired gun, for lack of better terms, and go get the money that you need, but not be in the environment that you see that you are growing, welcomed, and appreciated. So that was something that I had to do. A lot of other people that I knew were just in the mindset of, hey, you could just do it this way, get more money from this other organization. But then I just said, no, I'll stick it through at this place. And 25 years later, I'm still here.
Wow. Okay. So in the beginning, that makes a lot of sense, right? You were weighing the financial pieces of it. So, and you said, no, this is bringing me the joy. This is the connection for me. Over the years, so think about like even years 5 through 10, what did it evolve to as you continue to progress through the QLI leadership ranks?
No, I had a lot of people and that's probably the reason why, right? I had people that saw me, invested in me, poured into me. And so starting off as a direct care team member, I had individuals that saw in me things that I didn't see in myself. And that's what led me. I had no intentions of working in healthcare at all. But this was not about working in a place, which is a healthcare organization. I was working in a place where people are truly seen. So one of the things that my predecessor, Patricia Kearns, has shared is see every person that comes through our doors as if they could be the next CEO. And I'm living proof and testament of that, because it is the thing of, you have somebody who comes in at, if we don't have a hierarchy, but if you had a hierarchy in a certain organization, it's about, I came on in what in other organizations would be the lower rung, but yet at QLI, that was the role that was most celebrated and acknowledged, so you see organizations or societies being judged by how they treat those who they consider most at the bottom. And at QLI, those are the individuals who are the most important for the mission. And so I was fortunate enough to then be planted here and then have the opportunities to grow through mentorship and tutelage from other leaders.
Okay, there is a lot I want to unpack here because you've said a couple of things. The first one I want to go back to for just a minute that I think is fascinating is you talk about being seen, heard, they were pouring into you. And leaders do that when there's something there, right? And they're seeing you, the person that they're investing in, really owning their growth. So in those moments, think about what did you do to really own your growth that radiated for others to go, oh yeah, Nash is worth investing in. Nash is the one that we want to put our arms around and help on his journey.
But the good question. I think there were several things. I reciprocated, right? And so there was a part of when we get into relationships or whatever we see in many situations, there's a matter of reciprocity that we have. And so with people pushing and planting and having this idea of, hey, we want to continue to help you grow, whether it was optimism, the part of seeing that things can be better. The mission for QLI is great. It's unlike any other. We're changing lives, and so the part of selflessness was something that I saw. You don't just do something because I've just got a big heart, but no, you end up seeing something that is like, I am doing something that leads to something bigger than myself. So I saw myself in a manner that I was a part of something great and big. And so I elevated in so many ways my own mindset by seeing the impact that we made. And so our mission is to deliver life-changing rehabilitation and care, protect dignity and self-purpose, create hope, and commit to excellence. And I connected to that mission, especially the last part on committing to excellence. What is it that I can do and be my very best at, no matter what role I have? And so that was something that I had to also do, was making sure that if I was cleaning windows, it was clean the windows and be the best window cleaner that you can. If I'm giving care, give the best care that you can give to that person. If I'm interacting, so there's a matter of intentionality and purposefulness that you have to have in every single situation that you're placed in, and that will lead to other pieces as well. Other things that I feel I exuded were, some of the values that we have at QLI, so being mission focused, like I said, but being optimistic, being universal and willing to go anywhere and everywhere, not just I came in for this job and that's what I need to do. Investment in other people and your teammates and and other people that are around you was also critical and crucial. So it's a matter of, I'm going to invest not only in the people that we're serving, but my teammates as well. I didn't start there, but I ended there.
Yeah. Okay. What is unique about QLI? There's a lot of things unique about QLI. One of them, for the listeners who aren't familiar with QLI, is I've lost count of how many times you guys have won Best Places to
Yes.
Work because of that. You deeply embody the culture. And what's unique, especially in healthcare, about QLI is as much as you pour into those coming in for your services, your customers, you pour into each other, right? As a team. And that shows in the work that you do and the warmth, the optimism, the kindness. And so it's equal. Like they see, I mean, anybody, any person you see, they pour into each other just as much as those that you're serving.
Yeah, no, that is, you already hit up on the uniqueness of it, and that is the part of it, is you have individuals who are coming in from all over the United States to receive services because they have had this catastrophic injury and life is in a different spot. But to help
Yeah.
individuals, you have to also take care of the people that are going to be taking care of those individuals. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And so we invest in filling in our team members' cups and their lives so that they can give their all and be their best for the people that we're serving. And so that's something that is quite unique. We don't tell people to leave, their personal lives at the door. We invite them to bring what's going on in their lives and figure out how to help them go through things. And even though we do that, some people are going to have this space where they're not quite there. When I first started at QLI, my father passed away. Again, I'm from Zimbabwe. I had a sister who was living in Texas. My father passed away. And even though QLI did what they needed to do to say, how can we help? I was
Yeah.
not as vulnerable and open as I could then early on in my first couple of years.
Sure.
And so something that if I have any regrets, it was a part of not sharing what was going on in my life. So I wasn't able to go to my father's funeral in Zimbabwe. I wasn't able to go and be a part of that process. And because of that piece for me, it's informed me. It's been a searing moment in my life to say there's going to be people, even though we do certain things that might still say, but it's my problem,
Sure.
especially early on. And so we have to dig in deeper and meet them where they are so that we can connect with them at their point of need.
Dig in deeper. I like that. Dig in deeper because I know when we invest in those relationships, right? We invest in those connections and really opening those up, the results follow, the results in leadership, the results in life. That's amazing. So, one thing, when you work that closely together and you have such a beautiful culture, it can be even more challenging to have brave conversations from time to time. And we've worked with QLI on Five Tough Talks and leading those brave conversations. So I'm curious, what's a brave conversation that you can think of that, again, in this culture could be challenging to have, but was one that was needed, right?
I think that's a critical piece and very important aspect of it. I, as leaders, we are tasked with making sure that the people that we have hired and come into QLI, we care for them and help them go along this journey and put them in the best positions to shine,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
with that in mind, we do know that we have to also make sure that the mission is intact and make sure that we don't, for lack of better terms, let go of the reason of why we do what we do. So
Yeah.
mission critical. And so as you're thinking about that mission and you're thinking about those people who are working with us day in, day out, there's an element of we have to have the right people in the right seats and right people in the right seats may change from system to system. And I think from a QLI aspect, that's been something that as I've stepped into this role, because how my predecessor, Patricia Kearns, had this vision of how things were going and how I might have a different sense of how to get there. The mission is still the same. The vision probably remains the same, but how we get there might be different. And so what we've seen is maybe having to shuffle certain seats and making sure that people are put in the right roles so that we succeed and we taking a different approach to the same vision. And so sometimes the times that we've had some of the tough talks have been around role alignment. And that's a brave move that you have to make because
Yeah.
it's you care about the people that you're working with
Right.
because they are part of the mission. When I
Yeah.
ask people, who do we serve at QLI? And people say, we serve the residents, we serve the families. I'm like, no, no, we serve the residents, the families, team members, funding sources, our community. All those people are who our mission is geared towards. And so
Yeah.
sometimes you might make a decision that might be counter to somebody's as a team member, and
Mhm.
that's a brave move and a brave direction that you have to take in to take your decision making in. But you
Yeah.
always have to be aligned with mission to say it might not be favorable to this person, but I think it'll serve the mission more and more advantageously. So that's the
Eh,
times where it's grueling when you're thinking about, but this person has had this role and this is where they've been at and this, but I feel like we need to move in a different direction. So as tough as it is also something that you have to be brave and understand your true north as well.
Anytime you transition from one CEO to another, you're exactly right. Sometimes people look at it and they're like, well, things will be the same because Nash came from the inside, right? Is being promoted into the CEO role. But the reality is, and you said this really well, is it's the same vision, but how we get there can be different
Yeah.
ways. And so I just applaud you for owning that and recognizing that and making the adjustments because you have two different leadership
Oh yeah.
styles, right? You need might be different than what Pat had as well.
Well,
So
that was amazing. And she built this clinical program over the course of years. And that's not where I'm more inclined into, so I needed individuals that could continue that clinical program with how Pat had set it up and the vision for it to continue in that direction. And so that was not a space where I was going to spend the most of my time.
yeah,
So that was something that we needed some talent to not replace, but fill a role that Pat left a big void in.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. So let's talk about the horizon. Let's talk about looking forward. Think about whether it's a small brave move or leading something within QLI. What's next for you as you continue to really build the momentum of this CEO role that you've landed in?
No, I think anytime you say a brave move, it comes with this idea of change, right?
Yeah.
A brave move means that most of the time, one, I have to make a decision that will impact other things, and sometimes it is about keeping the status quo. That's a brave move. We don't, it's always change. Sometimes it's no, I'm going to remain here, even though the crowd is moving in a certain direction. That's a brave move. The things that I'm seeing are about not keeping the status quo. And that's where those brave moves are going to have for myself, because as a leader, you're supposed to be helping guide your team in so many ways so that we all move in a certain direction. As we continue to move forward as an organization, there are things that we will have to make some changes on. And growth, we think of the idea of growth. We love growth, but growth is compulsory to also include change. And so you cannot have growth without change. And so as we continue to grow, those are brave moves that we'll have to continue to look at. So for now, some of the things include a campaign that we're putting together, almost a $22 million campaign to add family housing. And so we're going out and fundraising for that. And then to add a different line of service that we haven't really been involved in, that really reaches to our community in so many ways. So those are some things that we're really excited for, and that will lead to, that has come from brave moves. But to get there, we will have to make a lot more braver moves.
Okay, I have two questions. One, I want you to share what the importance of the family housing. I don't know that our listeners will understand the connection of the importance of family housing for the residents at QLI.
So we see at QLI and serve individuals from 48 states. So these are individuals coming to small Omaha, Nebraska, destination QLI, to get their lives changed in so many ways. Now, in 2014, we were able to, with the philanthropic community, build a family housing where people come in and they're part of their loved one's journey, because we're not just treating the person who's gotten the injury. That's the person, the nucleus, but we spread and treat the whole system, the whole family, the whole community in so many ways of where they're going. And when you're looking at that, you're talking about somebody's wife or husband or children coming and staying at our family housing so that they can be a part of this program and be involved, but also at sometimes have some space to rest and recover.
Yeah.
And so we only have 14 units at this time, and we are adding 24 units and hope to break ground in August 2026. So we are going all in on this because we believe that the people we serve deserve to have a space that they can come and be a part of their loved one's journey.
I can't imagine having a loved one at QLI and not being able to be a part of their recovery journey and their new way of life. And so it's just, what you're doing is incredible. Next question is, when you were talking about that, I'm immediately thinking about, how do you build bravery within your culture? Like, when you think about the culture that you have and where you're going, think about one thing that you do to build bravery into your culture.
We, at the very first part, make sure that people understand the mission. Without knowing the mission, you do not know what you're fighting for, and you don't know where your firm foundation sits. And so knowing what the mission is helps you set what true north is and helps you make the decisions of, where are we taking this? this. Because if we're serving this loved one of another person, we have to understand why we exist. And so why you exist will help you go always back to the part of this is the reason why I have to take this tough step. The other piece that we have is if it were your loved one, how would you want them cared for? And there's no one on this podcast listening to Nicole's podcast who would say, if we're my loved one going through something, I would be a little wimp. No, you would fight for them in any way and every way that you would have to give yourself. You would step outside of your comfort zone to do that. And so those are things that I feel like are important in how we set up the foundation for people to make brave moves.
I love that. Okay, final question. What is, for our listeners, what's one piece of advice you would give them in helping them make their own small, brave moves?
Well, I have a whole book over here.
Cue the Small Brave Moves book. Nice
I have a
job.
whole book over here. And there's a lot of nuggets in here. So for me to say one way, I think it's learn how to live outside of your comfort zone. When you just stay insulated, you don't step into a space that pushes you to make tough decisions and brave choices and take a direction in your life. However, if you challenge yourself intentionally to say, I'm going to do something that is outside my comfort zone. It doesn't have to be that far. Just one little step each day. And then when you look back, that's why it's small, brave moves. They culminate to become something that is huge and transformative in our lives. So I feel that the title Small Brave Moves is great because you're not talking about how to transform the world in one day. It's take little steps. And when you step back and look at it, you're like, wow, how far have I come from this young guy who came in from QLI, from Zimbabwe, in 2000, and now I'm helping lead the organization. It wasn't just one big sweeping thing. Yes, it's people that invested in me, but it was those little steps, itty bitty steps. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one footstep. And so that's what I say take away from that.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nash. You are incredible. And I loved hearing more about your journey and then also just where you're heading. And just know that we're cheering you on every small, brave move that you're making. And so thank you so much for being on the podcast. We appreciate you.
Love you, Nicole Bianchi. You're doing big things in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Small Brave Moves podcast. If you're wanting to take this work even deeper, I'm here to help. From engaging in inspirational keynote speeches to transformational coaching and workshops for leaders and teams, page-turning books, online courses, and enlightening leadership development retreats. There are so many ways that we can work together to take your leadership to the next level. For more information, check out the show notes, and let's do this together, one small brave move at a time. See you next week.